I found out I wasn't human the same way most people discover they're sick, through a routine blood test. My doctor's office called on a Tuesday. Not an email. Not a text. An actual phone call. The receptionist's voice sounded wrong. Too careful. Like she was reading from a script about someone else's life. "We need you to come in immediately," she said. "There's something in your blood work we need to discuss." I'd been having migraines for about 6 months. Nothing unbearable, but persistent enough that I finally scheduled a physical. Standard stuff. The usual panels. I thought maybe they found vitamin deficiency or something treatable. I wasn't prepared for what Dr. Morrison told me in that sterile office. He pulled up my blood work on the screen. My white cell count was normal. Cholesterol was fine. But there was something else. Something he couldn't explain. In my genetic markers, he found anomalies. Not mutations exactly. Something altogether different. "Has anyone in your family ever mentioned anything unusual?" he asked. "Any genetic conditions? Anything hereditary that seemed strange?" I told him no. My parents were normal. My grandparents were normal. But Dr. Morrison wasn't convinced. He said my DNA showed markers that shouldn't exist in human blood. Not in humans, anyway. Then he told me about the prescription. He said a colleague of his, a geneticist named Dr. Reeves, had developed something. A medication that could help normalize my blood work. It wasn't approved by the FDA yet. This was experimental, but given what he was seeing, he thought I should consider it. I asked what the medication actually did. He hesitated. That hesitation told me everything. "It helps your body accept what it is," he finally said. I didn't take the prescription to the pharmacy that day. I went home and called my mother. Demanded to know if there was anything she'd never told me. Any family secret. Any reason my blood would be different. She got quiet. The kind of quiet that lasts too long. "Your father," she said. He wasn't exactly like other people. We never talked about it. We wanted you to have a normal life." I pressed her, but she wouldn't say more. Just kept repeating that I needed to trust her. That the medication was the right choice. That Dr. Morrison wouldn't have suggested it otherwise. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about that phrase. What it is. What was I? The next morning, I filled the prescription. The pills were small and white, no markings on them. The bottle said to take one daily with food. No side effects listed. No warnings. Just instructions that felt incomplete. The changes started subtle. My migraines disappeared completely within 3 days. My energy increased. I started seeing better in low light. Colors became more vivid. My sense of smell sharpened to the point where I could detect things no one around me could smell. Like something chemical and ancient buried beneath the normal world. But something else happened too. I started remembering things I'd never experienced. Walking through a forest that doesn't exist on any map. Standing in a city that looked almost like modern places, but fundamentally wrong. Being part of something. A group. A purpose. And I remembered, or felt like I remembered, knowing that this day was coming. That someday the pills would arrive. That I would take them. That I would finally start becoming what I was always supposed to be. Last week, Dr. Morrison called again. He said my blood work had normalized. The anomalies were gone. I was integrating successfully. He asked how I felt. I told him the truth. I felt like I was finally waking up after a lifetime of sleeping. He didn't sound surprised. Before he hung up, he said something I haven't stopped thinking about. "Welcome home." I looked in the mirror this morning and noticed my eyes had changed color. They weren't brown anymore. They were something else. Something that caught the light in ways eyes shouldn't. There are 17 other pills left in the bottle. I'm taking them all. I found a handful of coins in my grandmother's attic that shouldn't have existed, and they showed me exactly when I was going to die. My grandmother passed away on a Tuesday. I was cleaning out her house, moving through decades of accumulated memories, when I found the leather pouch wedged behind a loose brick in the attic wall. Inside were 12 coins. Not old ones, not valuable ones. They were current currency, pennies, nickels, dimes, quarters, but each one had a date engraved on the reverse that didn't match the year stamped by the mint. I should have thrown them away. I should have left them there. Instead, I pocketed them. That night I laid them out on my kitchen table and really looked at them. A 2019 penny read 2043 underneath. A 2015 quarter showed 2041. The dates were all different, all in the future, ranging from 2039 to 2048. And that's when I noticed something worse. On the edge of each coin, scratched in tiny letters, were initials. My initials. JM. My hands started shaking. I did what any rational person would do. I searched for my grandmother's journals. She'd always kept detailed records. In her nightstand, I found a leather-bound diary dated 1987. The first entry made my blood freeze. Found the coins in Mother's things. They have dates on them, future dates, the initials of people I know. Except they're all dead now, all of them. Every single one, the coins show the year they died. I kept reading. My grandmother had documented 37 names over 50 years. Every single person whose initials matched a coin's inscription died in the year that coin predicted. No exceptions. Then I found my name. There were 3 coins with my initials. 2041, 2042, 2043. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep for several nights. I became obsessed with understanding what I had. I cross-referenced the dates with obituaries, death certificates, anything I could find. My grandmother's documentation was meticulous and horrifying. A woman named Sarah Mitchell, initials SM, had a coin dated 2031. She died in a car accident in 2031. James Montgomery, 2034. Heart attack in 2034. Eleanor Martin, 2039. I found her obituary from this year. The pattern was absolute. But here's what haunted me most. I had 3 coins. 3 different dates. That meant I was supposed to die 3 times. Or there were 3 versions of me, 3 timelines, 3 chances. Or maybe death was trying to reach me and needed 3 attempts. I became paranoid. Every car that got too close, I swerved. Every sharp pain, I went to the hospital. I stopped flying. I stopped driving at night. I avoided heights, water, machinery, anything that could remotely kill me. Then, 6 months ago, I had an accident at work. Nothing serious. A shelf fell. I stepped out of the way by pure instinct, but it made me realize something terrifying. If I could dodge death, maybe I was supposed to. Maybe the coins weren't predictions, maybe they were warnings that could be changed. But then came the letter. It arrived with no return address, in handwriting that was unmistakably my grandmother's despite her being dead for 2 years. It contained 1 sentence and a photograph. You can't change it. You can only choose which one. The photograph showed me at 3 different ages, 38, 39, and 40, dead in 3 different ways. I still have the coins, 12 of them, heavy in my pocket. I check my age constantly now. I'm 37. I have less than a year before the first date arrives. And I've started noticing something else. New coins keep appearing. In my car. In my jacket pocket. In my mailbox. The handwriting on them is no longer my grandmother's. It's mine. I'm writing the future death predictions myself, and I have no memory of doing it.
I walked toward it anyway. The books had no call numbers, no library labels, just spines so dark I could barely read them, until I saw one that made my blood go cold. My name. David Chen embossed in faded gold lettering. I pulled it out. The cover was leather-bound, warm to the touch despite the library's frigid air conditioning. Inside, the first page read, "The Collected Observations of David Chen, age 8 through present day." My hands started shaking. The next page contained a passage dated March 15, 2003, the day I tried to skip school, but my mother caught me at the bus stop. Every detail was there. The lie I told. The disappointed look on her face. Things I'd never told anyone. I flipped forward frantically, page after page. Every embarrassing moment. Every secret. Every conversation I thought was private. There were descriptions of dreams I'd had. Thoughts I'd never spoken aloud. A passage about Sarah Mitchell, a girl I had a crush on in 7th grade that I never mentioned to a single soul. Then I saw something that stopped my breathing. On page 487, dated exactly 1 month from that day in the library, was a description of me driving on the interstate. The passage described how my tire would blow out near mile marker 62 there, how I'd swerve, how a truck would be in the next lane. But the passage didn't finish. It just ended mid-sentence. I slammed the book shut and shoved it back on the shelf. My heart was hammering so hard I thought I might pass out. I walked out of that section as fast as I could, but I made the mistake of looking back. There were more books, dozens of them, all with names on the spines, all in that same dark leather binding. I haven't been back to the library since that night. I know I should. Part of me needs to know if that passage continued, if there's a page describing how my story ends. But the rational part of me, the part that's kept me sane for the last 3 weeks, is terrified of the answer. Every time I drive on the interstate, I take the back roads. I've avoided mile marker 62 completely. Last Tuesday, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a library notice, stamped in red ink. Overdue book. Return immediately or face consequences. It didn't say which book.
My answering machine called me, not the other way around. It started on a Tuesday. I'd had the machine for 8 years, one of those old digital voice models collecting dust on my nightstand. I never used it. My cell phone handled everything. But that morning, I woke to the blinking red light. One new message. Clam. I pressed play. Dead air. Just static and breathing. My breathing. But slower. Deeper. Like someone was standing in my room while I slept, inhaling and exhaling into the microphone. I erased it, told myself the machine was glitching, and went to work. That night, 2 more messages. Same thing. Third one was different. I heard myself, my actual voice, saying a date. July 14th. Tomorrow's date. Nothing else. Just my voice, calm and clinical, stating a number like coordinates to somewhere I didn't want to go. I didn't sleep. I sat in the dark listening to that message over and over, trying to remember if I'd ever recorded it. I hadn't. July 14th came and went uneventfully. No disaster. No tragedy. Just another day. I started to relax, to convince myself it was some weird prank or malfunction. Then that night, a new message arrived. This time it was my voice again, but distorted, layered with echoes. It said, "The accident was supposed to happen at 3:47 p.m. You weren't paying attention. Look at your car." I went outside. In the passenger seat of my parked car, I found glass. Fresh glass. The kind that comes from a collision. But my car had no damage. The glass was from someone else's window. Later, I learned that at 3:47 p.m. that day, a drunk driver had plowed through the intersection 2 blocks away. He was doing 60 miles per hour when he hit a sedan in the passenger seat. The woman inside didn't survive. That woman was my coworker, Sarah Dot. She carpooled with me. She always sat in that passenger seat. She would have died in my car if I'd offered her a ride that day. But I hadn't. The machine had warned me. Or something had. The messages kept coming. Every night, a new one. Sometimes just static. Sometimes my voice predicting things. Accidents, collapses, overdoses. Each time, someone I knew narrowly avoided exactly what the machine had described. A colleague didn't take the elevator that fell. A friend didn't fly out on a plane that lost an engine. My sister didn't attend a party where someone brought a gun. By the 3rd week, I realized what was happening. The machine wasn't predicting the future. It was showing me alternate timelines. Futures where I'd made different choices. Futures where people around me had died because of split-second decisions. The machine was calling from the other side, from versions of reality where I'd been too late, where I hadn't listened. It was a warning. A message from every possibility of loss, begging me to get this one right. I stopped questioning it. I started listening. I began changing small things, offering rides I wouldn't normally offer, suggesting different routes, encouraging people to stay home when something in the machine's tone felt urgent. 3 months later, the messages stopped. The red light still blinks sometimes, but when I press play, there's nothing. Just silence. I keep the machine. I can't throw it away, because sometimes, late at night, I hear something in that silence. Breathing that isn't mine. A voice just beyond the static, trying to tell me something else. Something I haven't learned yet.
Drowning in his car during a flash flood. October 3rd. At midnight. The vision was so clear I could see the exact intersection. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, a fall down the basement stairs. Spinal cord injury. She wouldn't die, but she'd be paralyzed from that moment forward. February 9th. Every person I made eye contact with, the ring showed me their end. When it would happen. How it would happen. The terrible, specific details. I stopped going out. I wore sunglasses indoors. I avoided people. But I made a mistake. I attended my father's birthday dinner. I couldn't avoid looking at him across the table. What I saw destroyed me. Heart attack. His home office. Exactly 3 weeks from that dinner. Alone. No one to help him. I couldn't live with that knowledge. I couldn't just watch the calendar count down to my father's death. The night before it was supposed to happen, I took the ring off. My hands shook as I placed it on the kitchen counter. For the first time in months, I felt the weight lift. The next day came and went. My father was fine. He called me that evening, complaining about indigestion. He lived. I thought I'd solved it. The ring was the curse. Without it, the visions would stop. 3 days later, my mother called. My father had suffered a massive heart attack while driving. He crashed into a tree. He was dead before the ambulance arrived. Same date, same outcome. It didn't matter if I wore it or not. The ring doesn't show me the future. It showed me what was always going to happen. It just chose to show me through that band of gold. I've kept it in a sealed box since then. I don't wear it. I don't touch it. But sometimes, late at night, I hear it humming from inside that box. A soft metallic vibration. And I wonder what other deaths it's trying to show me. I wonder if one of those deaths is my own. I bought a bathroom scale at an estate sale, and it showed me something no scale should ever measure. My name is Marcus, and 3 months ago, I made a mistake I still can't fully explain. I was browsing an estate sale, one of those liquidation events where someone's entire life gets reduced to price tags. Most of it was junk. Furniture with water stains, books with yellowed pages. But in the bathroom upstairs, I found this scale. Chrome and black, mid-century. Beautiful, actually. The seller wanted $8 for it. I should have walked away. The first time I stepped on it, something felt wrong. Not with the scale itself. The mechanism worked fine. But the numbers it showed didn't match my weight. Not even close. It read 47 pounds higher than any other scale I owned. I checked my other scale 3 times. Nothing. I was exactly where I'd always been. But this new scale insisted I weighed more. Significantly more. I started using it obsessively. Every morning. Every evening. And every single time, those numbers climbed. Within a week, it was showing I'd gained 15 pounds. I hadn't. I'd eaten the same meals, exercised the same amount. My clothes fit the same. My reflection hadn't changed. But that scale kept climbing. Then the dreams started. I'd wake up in the darkness with this crushing sensation on my chest. Like something was sitting on top of me, pressing down with impossible weight. My wife never felt anything. She'd shake me awake, confused. But I could feel it. A heaviness that seemed to radiate from somewhere deep inside my body. By week 3, the scale read 89 pounds more than it should. I bought a digital scale, a doctor's scale, everything I could find. They all confirmed the truth. I hadn't gained an ounce. But that chrome monster in my bathroom knew something they didn't. I started researching the scale's history. The estate had belonged to a woman named Eleanor Kraft. She'd lived in that house for 62 years. Died alone. When I found her obituary, 1997, there was something that made my stomach drop. She'd been a psychologist, specialized in something called psychological burden. Her research notes, which I found archived in a university database, discussed ways to measure emotional weight, the guilt people carry, the shame, the regrets that never leave. That's when I realized what that scale was actually measuring. I started keeping a journal of what the scale said, and I started noticing a pattern. Whenever I'd feel guilty about something, an argument with my wife I didn't apologize for, a friend I'd abandoned, a lie I'd told at work, the scale's number would spike. Sometimes 3, 4, 5 pounds in a single day. When I finally apologized to my wife, it dropped. When I called my old friend and made things right, it fell another 2 pounds. The scale was measuring something Eleanor Kraft had tried to quantify her entire career. It was measuring the weight of my conscience. The worst part happened last month. I woke up at 3 a.m. and went to the bathroom without thinking. Stepped on the scale like I always do. It read 203 pounds over my actual weight. 203 pounds of guilt, shame, regret, and broken promises I'd been carrying. I stood there in the dark, looking at those numbers, and I felt it all at once. Every cruel word I'd ever spoken, every person I'd hurt, every lie I'd told myself to sleep at night. It crashed down on me like a physical thing, and I collapsed right there on the bathroom tile. My wife found me that morning, still in my pajamas, staring at the scale. She asked if I was okay. I didn't answer. How could I explain that I'd finally seen the true weight of who I was? I haven't used the scale in 2 weeks. It's still in my bathroom. Sometimes late at night I can hear it creaking, like it's waiting for me to step on it again and face what I really weigh. The worst part is this. I'm afraid to throw it away. Because I think if I do, the weight will just transfer to something else. And I'll never know for certain how much darkness I'm actually carrying inside.